So in the last part, what we saw was how you can retrieve multiple data from your database, but it had a little problem, and which was, I'm going to close this and let's delete everything from our database. And in this part, we're going to create something new. Let's say I add a new object, users, and I'm going to add a random ID. Now I'm not doing it manually. So let's say this is user 1, and I'm going to call it Akshay. Let's add more users to it, user 2, user 3, and we have 3 users here. Now what we want to do is we want to retrieve this data and store it inside a list view. So now I'm going to open up my activity main, and let's create a list view first. So here we have it. Okay, not this one, here. I'm going to drag and drop, and let's scale it to fit match parent. All right, not wrap content, but match parent. Okay, so our list view is ready, and I'm going to give it an ID of list view, which is already set. Now what we can do is we can say private list view m list view. Okay, so now we can reference it here. M list view is of type list view, id dot list view. All right, so now for storing data inside a list view, we need to create an array list and an array adapter. So first of all, an array list of string, and I'm going to call it m username, because it's going to store all the usernames inside it. So now what we can do, come over here and let's create an array adapter. So array adapter is going to be okay. So now inside this we need to pass 3 parameters. First is the context, next is the layout. So for this one we don't need to create a new. Let's use the default layout, which is simple list item 1, and then our m usernames variable. All right, so now we can do is m list view dot set adapter, and let's say m list view. So we have our adapter. Okay, the adapter is array adapter. Our adapter is set. Now what we want to do is, instead of checking inside the root, I'm going to check it inside the users, because we want to retrieve data from the users. Okay, so now next thing, let's say mref dot previously we were using add value event listener, but in this part we're going to use add child event listener. So what is a child event listener? Now it creates a whole bunch of stuff here, and these are the events. Right now the first one is on child added, which will run twice. The first time it will run is when your app is started. The next time it will run whenever a data is added. Then we have on child change, and it will run only once when the child is changed and removed, moved, or if you get any error. Now let's come over here, and what we want to do is let's create a string of value, and from data snapshot let's get the value as usual that we did in the previous parts. Now I'm going to add this value to our usernames list value, and then I'm going to say array adapter dot notify data set changed. So this function will run whenever a child is added and when our app will run for the first time. So I'm going to hit the play button over here. Let's open it up and wait for it to load. Right, let me check if we haven't missed anything. So there are no errors. Yeah, we got one error, and that is null point. Okay, so what we forgot is new array list. Okay, so let's try it again. So 0 errors, 0 warnings, and our app is running now. And once the data gets loaded, it's gonna show it inside the list. So let's come over here, and I'm gonna decrease the size of the Chrome window so we can see both screens at a time. Now let's add a child object, user 4, and I'm gonna call whatever name you want to give. Hit enter. Now you can see that new child is appended in our list view. So this is pretty cool, because previously we were getting all 4 objects whenever we were adding a new one. So this problem of us is solved right now. Now you can get as many users you want. This is like a list of all the users you can collect, get from this. But still it has one little problem. This is not actually a problem, but if you can see that on child changed, if you change any value, this doesn't change any value yet, because inside on child change event we need to add some bunch of code. For example, first we need to get the position of the list item that we actually clicked. Then it's going to check it from here, and then it's going to retrieve the data and get it here. So that causes a whole really time taking what you call it. It's time taking. That's just it. We can solve it though using Firebase UI. So that's pretty easy to do, and we're going to cover it in next part. So Firebase UI is like they will solve a bunch of problem. Like on child change, they have a list view that we can implement over here, and through that we don't need to worry about on change, on add, or whatever. You just continue adding the object, it will update. You just change, it will update. Even when you remove, it will update as well. So that will solve our problem, and we're going to take a look at that in the next part.